time. So I'm Marian Maloku. I'm a volunteer at the Ideas Partnership for 3 years now, and I'm part of the project called Little Teachers. With me is also another volunteer, which you see here on the left of the screen. It's Ranjinovse. Both of us started to participate in this project as students. Now both of us finished universities studies and remain to participate in the project. I'm a student engineer of power systems, power engineering, and Ranjinov says he finished philosophy. So the project Little Teachers started as an idea that we would pick some of the kids of the Saturday's activities and work with them to make them start their path on becoming real teachers in the future. The idea is that we give them extra lessons and extra exercises to help them improve their self in school, and also as a return they have to work as teachers on Saturdays with youngsters on the Saturdays activities. So the group is like 20 students, and we didn't want to have classes like traditional school classes where the kids have to sit all the time and just read things and do an exercise. But we thought that it's better if we mix things all up, like we don't have all the time class in the classroom. We have a lot of study visits. With the Little Teachers, we were able to visit some of the most important historic monuments in Kosovo, like we were in Dejan Manastir, we were in the Tej of Jakova. Yeah, that's a picture from Dejan Manastir. We were at some mosques, we were at the museum, we were also in the National Gallery, and this is a special picture. This is the group with us too, and the director of Kosovo Philharmony. This is one of the first cases where the kids travel to Pristina, the capital of Kosovo. In this picture you have also Mimosa, which for her it was the first time after 13 years. She's 13, but she travels to Pristina, and Pristina is like 6 kilometers away from their home. It tells a lot about the informal, unofficial ghetto they live in. Like the municipality treats them as equal citizens and so on, but the reality is that you have children that are 13 or 15 years old and didn't have the chance or are afraid to travel 6 kilometers to the capital to see the city. And we took them to a classical music concert, and they had a special treatment. They had 2 rows reserved seats just for them. And it was like, I can assure you that this was the first time that children from the Roma, and Egyptian minority in Kosovo went to a classical music concert and also had the first seats. It was a weird occasion for most of the participants of the concert, because they aren't used to see this kind of children in this kind of events. But as they were listening to the music and they had some pauses, they had the chance to talk to other people who were participating in the concert, and each time they had good responses to their questions. I mean, even normal responses. The other participants were surprised by how normal these kids are. We had a lot of similar situations with them, like even in a bus ride from Fushkosova to Pristina, I was asking them, what is this on about the buildings, old buildings and so on, and of course they knew some answers, but some people who were traveling with us, I saw them that they were quite surprised, because they accept, they wait that this kind of children, this kind of color is just at the traffic lights, washing windows, knowing nothing. And that's the idea of the little teachers to break the ice. And they were quite successful, even in their high schools. Some of the children started their high schools last year, the first year of the high school, I mean. And there were situations where they were the only children from the minority. All the other students were Albanians, and they had a quite difficult time, especially the 2 first months, to get along with other students, because they didn't accept them. And Vlora, which is the girl with the dark clothes there, she had especially a hard time, even coming to us crying that she wants to leave the school because she feels like a stranger there. And things changed when they had to write an essay. And we did practice a lot with the little teachers on writing essays. And when they got their marks, she was the best of the class. And her Albanian was the best of all the students in the class. And this made them feel a bit ashamed, because they treat Albanian as their language, and there comes a stranger knowing their language better than them, and that broke the ice. She started to make friends and so on, and she's a really good student, and everything's changed for good. But Ismet, in the other side, had similar situation. We took him to programming classes, and the teacher of the subject called technology made some questions which he responded best, and he did some remarks like, you shouldn't know this kind of things, you sort shouldn't know this kind of things. And I know we first thought that Ismet's and Vlora's reactions in these situations may be hard, because they told us that when they heard their teacher making such remarks, they started to get angry. And Ismet even yelled at that teacher and went to the director of the school and explained him everything. And the class, which is a good thing, supported him and made that teacher apologize in front of the class. Dora had another case where a teacher, I'm just giving examples so you know in which environment are these children living, growing up, and I will tell you what we're trying to change, to help give them some skills that they will use to break the ice. Laura has had another situation where a teacher of her high school came and asked, which of you is Ashkali here? She raised her hand, and he didn't use the word Ashkali, which is correct. He used the pejorative Majupe, which is insulting. It has an insulting context, a racist context, and she was thinking to raise her hand or not, but she even that he used that word, she raised her hand, and he told to her, no, that you're too white to be Majupe. And she got angry, and the teacher pointed to another girl which was more dark skinny, she was Albanian, and he was insisting that she's Ashkali Majubi, and Vlora got even furious. She stood up without permission of the teacher, with a pen in her hands. When she's stressed, because I know all of the children, 3 years, when she's stressed, she gets a pen in her hand and plays with it all the time. Excuse me. And she was arguing with him and arguing, and she got more angry, and she broke the pen and threw it at him and leave the class. And when she told me and Ron about this, I was scared. What did I teach these children about this situation? She did wrong, but then she told me that all the class got angry with the teacher, and all the administration got aware of the situation, and the teacher apologized to her. Ismet, Vlora, and I have a lot of other cases, became aware about racism. When we started, they weren't aware at all about racism, the racism that they live in. Ron made a tricky class. He came in the class later on one day, and he just started to yell at them, because he's quite good at acting. Elizabeth can confirm that. He started to yell at the class that you are all animal and you should stand up. And for my surprise, all the children stood up. Only one girl was resisting, and he made them sit down and sit up, yelling them that they are animals, and they were a bit irritated, but they did what he said. And he explained to them that this is actually in a metaphoric illustration that how the Kosovan society treats them. It's not like that the Ashkali Egyptian and Roma people are attacked here or whatever, or insulted at the street. That's really rare. But the situation is that people, Albanian people, Serbian people, and the majorities walk at the same road but side by side, not talking. Back at my pre-high school times, we had 2 Ashkali children who, without anyone saying it, were sharing the same table, not mixed with us and never playing with us or whatever. They were separated. Everyone respected them, like not insulting them, but no one was making friendships with them. And at Ismet's and Vlora's generation, I see that things have changed. They have the internet, they have the same cultural background now, because everything is open, and they feel like the same. And there are a lot of situations where they support at their rights. All this awareness of them, we did a lot of travelings with them. As I told you, we were at a lot of places, a lot of situations where they weren't comfortable to stay at the beginning. At the Philharmonic concert, they weren't comfortable at all. They were feeling as strangers, but it changed. We went there a lot of time, it changed. Here we are at a library in the capital city. We do a lot of readings with them. We read Anna Frank's diary, Sophie's World. We did a quite long attempt on getting them into philosophy, at the basic things of philosophy. And this is a picture of us and the project we did. It was a 3-month inside project. I mean, no budget at all, but we just took things from home. This is the time when they chose their king. We did learn and read a lot of about monarchies, oligarchies, democracy, and we gave them the chance that they choose to be either of monarchy or democracy or whatever, and they were seduced to choose monarchy because they thought that they themselves would end up as the king or queen, and they were disappointed back after that. But this is the king being chosen. We did like all formal ceremonies. We had music in the background with trumpets, and before they chose, they had to go to a room, get something above their shoulders and vote and leave the vote, and then the king got chosen, and he chose also the queen and some other generals, and the project went on while we were reading other stuffs. But the idea was that Ron and me are just as Supreme Court, Constitutional Court, where we would do decisions only when the king mistreats some rules, some basic rules. But the whole project didn't end quite well because the queen itself ended up refusing to obey the king, and there was a small protest in the class. They took fireworks with them to attack the group of the king, because the class separated on king supporters and democracy supporters, and we did a lot of work to make them get to an agreement. We call that agreement relating to the history of Great Britain, Carta Libertatum, and they signed it. The king resigned peacefully, but they still have some jokes about the king and the king time, and there is some chemistry sparkling between the two groups.
I should show the next photograph now, Arjan. I should show the next photograph now.
Then they have the chance to meet Her Highness itself, and they were quite amused by her visit, because after that they asked me a lot about did they have these kind of situations that like in our group, and I had to show a lot of illustrations about the kings and the kingdom of Great Britain and France, French Revolution, and they were quite happy that it didn't end up like the French Revolution, but they had the chance to understand for real how it is to have the responsibility to manage a group of people and their rights and their future, because the king has had all the rights to choose which cities we will visit and everything else. Besides the budget, we had that final word with administrations, but he was a king at his best, but so the other group says that he failed. We had a visit. These are some girls of the group. Since Ron reads a lot about philosophy, and I'm also affected by some friends of me about feminism, and affected also by the situation in the community, but also in Kosovo about women's rights. We've done a lot to push the girls and provoke the boys of the group about women's rights and women in general in Kosovo. We made them read a lot about Marie Curie, and we had some visits from some female successful businesswoman, artist, and designer, but they had also visits from a soldier. They had visits from a violinist, a famous one from Turkey. They got visits from some American teachers who shared their experience of being a teacher. And the last visit, the last two visits, I guess, these are students from the Department of Psychology in the University of Pristina. And this is the last one. We went to the National Gallery in Pristina. So I think I already took too much time. If you have any questions, or Elizabeth, yeah, that's little Hitler there.
Well, thank you so much, Ariane. That was really great.
Thank you.
As Keith knows, I have my background's in teaching, and then I was a consultant, a teaching consultant for a while, as was Keith for a while. And I went to visit Ariane and Ron's class, and I couldn't resist writing notes and writing down what was being done. But at the end of the observation, except neither of us knew that's what it was going to be until I started making my notes, I said to him, "Can I just tell you all of the things that you taught the children in that session? Because I don't think you even realise." And I just went through, they were reading The Little Prince at that time, but Ariane started telling them the etymology of the words, and then telling them other words that had the same Greek roots, so they were doing little bits of language. Then they did little bits of science, because they started talking about what actually makes us animate objects. How could you tell the difference between a dead person and a sleeping person and a stuffed person? And they got into these really profound philosophical and then very scientific and other debates, and much, much more, all within one lesson. It's just this very, very rich learning environment that you perhaps got a flavour of. And that was just one session. And you can see that would be unusual anywhere, but people who've got any experience of the Kosovan education system would know that that's just transformational for Kosovo. There's no teaching like that, sadly, going on in Kosovo's public schools. And so it's a really wonderful opportunity for any child, but especially for those children. So thank you, Ariane, if you're still there off screen.